The flu is back.
The
Yes.
flu is back.
Mm-hmm.
Boo.
Boo hoo.
This too shall pass.
It's the bird kind.
Mm-hmm.
The bird kind. So
And the normal flu.
California already called it state of emergency or something like that for that, right? For a couple of people that got it. That was like a couple days ago, I heard. Like before
Well, they're running out of
Christmas.
money. So.
Yeah, so they're running out of money, so they're trying to get more federal funds.
well, apparently this is not contagious.
What is it contagious?
This new
It's
upper.
extremely contagious.
See, I heard that it was not,
Yeah, no,
and that was on Fox News. You know.
the doctor
Yeah,
I
but
was talking to
it's-
said it's extremely.
It's not supposed to.
contagious.
It's contagious, but it's not supposed to be deadly.
Yeah, so just makes you really sick.
Just makes you
Okay.
sick.
Yeah.
I know I've had this wicked cough, but you know what's weird? Who knows what it
It
is?
said, I saw on my news last night. Croup, what do you call it? The cough is also back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's making a comeback.
Just turn the hot water on and sit in the steam.
Well, you got Nick. He's been coughing for weeks, months now. We won't
Yeah.
go back to the doctor.
Who, Nick?
Yeah.
Oh.
He doesn't like doctors. Something about that needle. He doesn't get scared.
Yeah, I don't know. I got to like when COVID was not really a thing yet. I know in that January because was about a month into it, but it really hadn't gotten into the United States supposedly.
Mhm.
I know that I had this wicked cough, and it was terrible, and it was I couldn't control it. It was probably the most violent cough I'd ever had in my life, and was choking stuff up, and it was like rubber cement. It was bad. And then one day it was gone. I woke up one day and I said, my cough's gone. How do you know? Because I can just feel it. It's gone.
Were you huffing the night before?
No.
Yeah, my wife had something too. So there were several who had it. My wife had it like in February. I mean, they say it came in the States like in November before that. And then it's been hanging around for like 3-4 months. And then all of a sudden in March, it became a big deal. And then they shut everything down. Matter of fact, I went to go see him in Atlanta when it was starting to get important. The day I flew back was the day they shut Atlanta down and all that, and Hartford and the state and everything like that. Yeah. I was lucky to fly back in a plane that was filled with 20 people. That's how bad it was going. When I flew down there, it was a full plane. When I flew back, there was like 20 people on the plane.
I was working on a show that traveled about 120 crew members from Atlanta to the Czech Republic. They landed, and as soon as they landed, they were pretty much told that they had to, within 24 hours, they had to get back on another plane and come back to America because they were shutting international travel down.
Yikes.
Yeah. There's people I know that got stuck in Hawaii. What a bad place to be stuck in.
That's horrible.
You know, they were stuck in Hawaii for like 3 months.
So we should probably introduce.
Yeah. So,
Okay, I'll shut up now.
yeah.
That's
So,
all right.
well, you said introduce them. So,
I didn't say Wayne introduce him, did I?
oh, well,
But it's probably best if you did.
yes. So anyway, this is my son Daniel. He lives in Atlanta and he works in the film industry, and he's here to talk about it. He's also a graduate of Griswold High School and grew up in this area. So I thought it'd be interesting, since he's up visiting, talk about what he does and other stuff.
Giddy up.
So I understand that one thing your dad had said, who's very proud, by the way, just so you know.
Thanks.
Proud
Yeah.
of both my kids. Don't want to slight my daughter, but I
No, he doesn't. He doesn't like Hillary.
No.
No, he doesn't like her at all. Just the kids, the grandkids. You should hear what he says. No, but he was one of the things that he was really proud of talking about recently with us is the last movie that you had worked on, and Superman.
Yep.
Which is coming out on July 11th.
Yes.
All right, July of
Trailer
next year.
dropped within the last week.
Yeah, and it's supposed to look. I haven't seen it, but apparently it looks absolutely amazing.
It's polarizing for sure right now, because you have the people online and social media that are so loyal to the Zack Snyder movies that he did and the Snyder cuts, and because he did Man of Steel, he did the Batman versus Superman movie, and so aesthetically, visually, I liked those movies.
Yep.
I don't think he can tell a story very well though, and so like the one thing I was really excited about working on, the one that's coming out next summer is like James Gunn is helming it. Like this is supposed to be his reboot of the DCE universe, and so great storyteller. I mean, I loved all the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and the one Suicide Squad movie that he did. So visually looks a lot different from what you were probably used to with the last couple.
I've never seen the Guardian, any of the Guardian movies.
Oh, really?
No, none of them at all.
The
But I
second
have
one,
seen the Superman ones.
Sure.
Right back from Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
So
And for everyone, that's always going to be like their Superman. But I think a lot of people have an issue with the one that I just worked on was like, well, it's not Henry Cavill, because that was like my generation Superman essentially.
right.
But overall, I got to see it firsthand. I'm very excited for it, obviously. 'Cause
Have you seen the full movie?
No. I didn't
no.
even see a script. Like that's something that's actually they're doing away with. I remember the first movie I ever worked on. Day one as an office production assistant, they didn't really have anything for me to do, so they had no problem giving me a script and just saying, "Hey, read it, familiarize yourself with it." That doesn't happen anymore. So, Superman, any Marvel project I ever worked on, the script was kept away from a vast majority of the crew. Only department heads were really able to look at it. So
just the cast had it, really.
Cast, department heads, producers. I was able to piece together the story, I guess, just from looking at the call sheet and see like what scenes they were shooting each day.
Yeah.
And, just kind of remembering the scene numbers, and then I'd go back and kind of like piece it all
Put it together, yeah.
and all that. I don't know the dialogue or anything, but yeah, I kind of know the gist of it.
Yeah. Are movie stars assholes?
Some are. I've never really witnessed an actual blow up on set. I started as an office PA. I did a few movies as a set PA. I was fortunate because I never really witnessed any meltdowns on set when I worked on set.
Yeah.
I've heard some horror stories. Didn't hear anything on the latest Superman movie. In fact, like I met some of the cast just going to get coffee. Some of them like would come into the office and kind of introduce themselves to everybody on the crew.
Yep.
So
like regular people that they should be, right?
Yeah.
Doing a job.
There are some that I've heard are difficult to deal with. I've never had that issue, so I'm probably fairly lucky.
Yeah, we have a guy that frequents the show all the time. He's a television producer, and he's a complete asshole. He's in here. His name is Justin. So Justin, you asshole, if you're there, speak up. No, he's not an asshole. Yeah, he's an asshole. So what other movies have you worked on that you could say is your credit? Or...
Well, I did there was a Halloween special that Marvel did a year or two ago. That was called Werewolf by Night. I kind of wish that Marvel actually experimented with more shows or things of this nature, because it was Marvel. It was a superhero concept, but it was different. And they basically released the entire thing black and white. It was perfectly seasonal and still like touched on a lot of superhero elements and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
But, it was a 45-minute special that I think Marvel did one time. And they've yet to go back to that character as far as I'm concerned. Shortly after that, I did Ironheart for Marvel, which is going to be the next iteration of the Iron Man character, but it's going to be a young girl that is, I think, a Harvard student. That has not been released. And we shot that almost 2 years ago, and I still don't believe it's come out yet. I think that Marvel's new release schedule has it lined up for the upcoming year.
Is that going to go out in the theaters, or is that going to Netflix?
That's going to be a Disney Plus series.
Okay.
It's 6 to 8 episodes, I believe.
Kind of like WandaVision?
Yeah, it'll be one of those.
Okay, now, did you work on WandaVision at all?
I didn't work on WandaVision.
I loved it.
My girlfriend did.
Oh, okay, all right.
But she didn't. She unfortunately did not come up. But she was an office PA on that one. She got to witness all the sets, all the different sets that they had to do, because each episode basically takes place in a different
decade.
Of
sitcom
television.
Have you ever seen it, Rich?
Doesn't sound familiar.
Oh, it's amazing. It's really a good,
WandaVision?
Well, it's the Red Witch.
Okay.
You ever watch
You
any
know.
of the Marvel movies?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know the Red Witch?
Not
Scarlet
It's
Witch.
Wanda.
Scarlet
Scarlet
Witch.
Witch, yeah.
Scarlet
The Red
Witch,
Witch,
yeah.
yeah.
All right.
So,
I think I know some of them.
well, it's funny because Melissa had heard from her boss saying, "Have you watched WandaVision before? When it first dropped?" And she said, "No, we haven't looked at it at all." And we're not really a superhero family, you know what I mean? As far as watching that kind of stuff, we aren't. So then we put it on one day, and we watched the first episode. Well, that sucked. It really did. And then the second one, we're looking at each other. Do we give it another shot? And it was like halfway through, it still sucks. And then it started to get better and better because we understood the story now.
Yep.
Mhm.
It's one of those, you got to give it a chance. And once you do, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It really is.
It really was the first thing that they released as part of their next. They call it phases, with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it was the first thing that I believe came out that really did push the story forward after they had like Avengers: Infinity War and then Endgame.
Yeah.
So, and it was different, which I think it attracted a lot of people. It didn't really look like anything else Marvel had done because you had, black and white TV shows and everything was just its own like decade of like sitcom television.
Yep.
And then, without revealing too much, there's a reason they choose that aesthetic.
Yeah. It was really cool. It was really cool. I don't know the reason, but I just thought that it was crazy and
If
cool.
you paid attention and if you followed the Marvel thing and the Scarlet Witch thing and the Vision thing, character and stuff, you started to notice things.
Yeah.
As it progressed.
Yeah.
And eventually figure it out. But it was interesting. Like you said, the first episode or two, it took about 2 or 3 episodes to start to see what was going on. So
Rachel from Northern South Carolina or Southern North Carolina says WandaVision was awesome. And then there was another one that was out recently.
Well, there was She-Hulk, which I did not work on.
No, it was a miniseries. It was a Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It was one of the characters from WandaVision. We watched it.
Agatha.
Agatha.
Yes.
Agatha
Always
all
Agatha
along.
or
Agatha all along.
All along.
Yeah.
That was
haven't
really
watched that
good.
one yet. I've heard
It's
I haven't
good.
seen that one either.
I've heard that's pretty good.
It is pretty good.
Yeah.
Again, though, you got to get past the first episode or two.
It sets
Or-
up the storyline, probably, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like a very good way to do things, though.
Well,
Hook you in.
Yeah.
they throw the hook at you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
and
you don't
it's
hook
like,
me in the first 15 minutes, I'm switching.
Well,
well, some people are like that,
yeah.
but I'll watch it because they're only like what 47, 48-minute episodes right around
Just about,
there.
yeah.
So do they make them like that so in case broadcast TV picks them up?
No, I think with Marvel, especially, like they know that what they have is going directly to Disney Plus.
Okay.
I think that in some cases, if you don't have a show, sometimes I've worked on some things where it's like we know where the distribution is going to go. I did a movie called The Tomorrow War, which was a Chris Pratt movie. When that was basically in prep or pre-production. They didn't really know like where it was going to be distributed. They just know that they had a lot of financial backing for it, and sure enough, like it's a decent action sci-fi flick.
Yeah.
But like eventually we wrapped, and I think the movie was even done, and then it became apparent that like, all right, it's just going to go straight to streaming and go right on Amazon.
In other words, straight to DVD. Is straight to streaming? Is that equivalent to straight to DVD?
Sort of, but
about 10 years ago.
Jeff Bezos basically has enough money where the producers and everyone that financially backed the movie were selling the movie and still making a profit for Amazon to just have full access to it to do whatever they wanted to. So, I think at that point, it's like maybe the VFX budget got a little too out of hand that the producers just wanted to like turn some kind of a profit, get money back, and then some.
Yep.
And then from there, it's whatever Amazon can make off of it with ad revenue, new subscriptions, things like that.
Sure.
It was
Kinda
good.
like-
It was a good. It was a
Yeah,
good film.
I
It
liked
was
it.
really good.
Now, Wanda, that was in Georgia, didn't
Correct,
they?
yep.
And what about Agatha? Did they film it there
Agatha
too?
was also in Georgia.
Sorry of the coughing, but so now you live in Georgia,
Correct.
so in a lot of different movies, TV shows, at the end of the credits, you see the Georgia Peach.
Yeah.
So what is the like? A lot of entertainment is being filmed down in Georgia. Why is this
So for the
and not
longest time-
Maryland?
Well, Georgia is great in the sense that for the most part, the weather
It's conducive.
complies all year long.
Yeah.
And you also have, you have Atlanta, you have Savannah, you have, Macon, you have rural areas, you have a city. You also have coastline. So you can basically shoot a variety of projects just in the state of Georgia. And what made Georgia so great for filming so for the longest time, about a 10 to 12 year stretch, was that the tax incentive in the state of Georgia was uncapped. The problem with states like Louisiana, North Carolina to an extent, they eventually put a cap on their state film incentive.
Mhm.
And so Georgia for the longest time didn't do that. And so a lot of productions, they wanted to film in Georgia because it was affordable, it was cheaper, you'd get a great kickback at the end of it if you were able to qualify a lot of your, in-state spending costs.
Yep.
Nowadays, though, towards the end of 2020 or 2024, especially after the writer's strike of 2023, things are changing a little bit. Like, I'll be the first to acknowledge that, like, right now in the state of Georgia, the film industry is very dry. I won't say it's dead, but it is very slow. I finished.
It hasn't recouped.
No, but it's also, coming out of the writer's strike from a year and a half ago, the studios had good plans and things lined up for 2024. They just didn't plan the back end very well. But you also have other factors at play. London and the UK are great for filming right now. That's where Marvel is doing everything right now. They have essentially moved out of Georgia, and they are doing everything exclusively in London for the next few Avengers movies that they're going to do. The state of California also redid their tax incentives to keep productions in state. Now, granted, it's still expensive to film in the state of California. And not to mention, payroll taxes have gone up in the state of California because the state has opted not to pay back their $20 billion loan the federal government gave them for the unemployment insurance. So payroll companies are paying more in taxes, if anything, is in the state of California, as are a lot of businesses in California. But so for right now, because there are so many competing other areas of the country, like even Vancouver and Toronto are doing great. Georgia right now is struggling a little bit, but there is hope that things pick up, like once we turn the calendar to the new year.
Maybe we got to look at our tax incentives, bring some filmmaking up in Jewett City.
Yeah.
We have 4 seasons.
Mystic Pizza 2.
There you go. Connecticut did tax incentives a long time ago to bring filming here. So I don't know if that died out.
They did a lot of Hallmark movies here.
Was it Hallmark?
Yeah.
No wonder nobody watched it.
Wow. Because they're all the same. They all fight, they kiss and make up, and they all sing Kumbaya, Merry Christmas.
During
You know
a
what I mean?
snowstorm,
Hey,
yeah.
my wife and daughter love those movies, so there you go.
My stepmother loves them.
I even
She's-
sit through.
yeah.
I even sit through them just to spend quality time with the wife.
So there was one TV
Fry.
there was one TV special or not special, but series that I knew was filmed down there, and I just looked it up just because I didn't want to say anything unless I was, which was The Walking Dead.
Never worked on it, surprisingly. That The Walking Dead, a lot of people
Back, isn't it?
Oh, they do so many variations.
Yeah.
they
Someone
got
else,
they
I
got
think.
like 3 or 4 different.
Yeah, and that
shows
was
now?
the show that really, a lot of people give credit to, like, really getting the Georgia film industry going.
Yeah.
They basically had a whole city in Georgia, Sonoya, Georgia. And you can even go and like walk, like you go like downtown Sonoya, and it's basically it's like a scene straight out of The Walking Dead. I think it was like mostly they shot season 2 just on Main Street. Forget the story.
Zombieland.
So the people look that bad.
But yeah, Walking Dead. I mean, they filmed at Tyler Perry Studios. I mean, they dominated Georgia for the longest time. And
Right.
they like credit to that show because it did get a lot of studios and open up a lot of executives' eyes to like, hey, we should go to this part of the country because you can film so much there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at a list, and a lot of them I don't know, but like I do know. So like Property Virgins, that's one. Tyler Perry's House of Pain, Payne. Walking Dead, Ricky Smiley Show, The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Well, duh. You know which one I thought was a TV show that I thought was in Atlanta, but I don't know for sure. But True Blood, it's not on the list.
really?
So
I think
like
they
that
did.
series.
It was either that or Vampire Diaries. I think it was Vampire Diaries. that was
let me
on.
school.
That was a good series.
Yeah.
While it lasted.
Wow, they even did Futurama.
Mm.
Mercy.
So what is it that you actually do?
So I started as a production assistant. Did that all the way up until the COVID shutdown.
What does that do?
Production assistant, man. I mean, there are like departmental production assistants. It's like the bottom of the barrel. So when I was an office PA, like you had to do lunch runs for like 25 to 35 people. You basically had to do any small task. at the end of the night, you would have to create sides, as they call it, and that was basically just copy of your call sheet on the front page, and then just copies of the script only for the scenes that you were shooting the next day. So you would have to, print and make hundreds of copies of these at the end of the night. Man, and then when I was on set, again, did lunches for people that couldn't break away and get their own lunch. Now, some shows do call lunch. You typically get 30 minutes for lunch. If your production is doing what they call French hours, which is just 10-hour days of just straight working, people need to get up and go get lunch if they're available to. If they're unavailable to, they'll send production assistants to just go and get lunch for them. But you also have other production assistant duties, like being in charge of like walkies and radios, giving out hot batteries or like full batteries to people that have a dying one. There are production assistants that just handle all your background, and there are good days for that and there are bad days for that. If you've got a day where it's just you are shooting a small scene with like your lead characters in a house, that's great because you don't have any background for that. And your background PA is basically getting paid to do very little. But there are days when you have like 350 extras. Those are awful. Those are the longest days. And your background PA is probably stressed and thinking about quitting. And then you get, you get your first team PA, and I hated being first team. First team is basically you were in charge of babysitting your lead actors, making sure like you were able to report if they were just off set in a tent. You had to know like if they went to the bathroom, how long ago they went to the bathroom. Did they just wander off and go back to their trailer without telling you? If you didn't know where an actor was at any given moment,
right,
you were getting
so you're a babysitter.
I never had any interest in doing that. A lot of people like doing it because they think that they can parlay it into like an assistant opportunity, and I never really wanted to go that route.
Yeah. Rachel said about The Walking Dead. She said they're going to be starting production for the Walking Dead the musical, and that is
that
next.
real?
Yes, no, it's not. But
This is Rachel.
it sounded
now.
good though.
A
Rachel,
sense of humor.
That's great.
We have some people who listen here to have a sense of humor.
Given the state of things, everything's turning into a musical. I mean, there was a Spider-Man musical at one point that got shut down.
really?
Yeah.
You said it got shut down?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know
see
the
that.
ins and outs of that one, but I think they had a lot of like stunt issues and singers and dancers falling out of harnesses and just hitting the stage, so quickly got nixed.
So, any other movies coming up that you're going to be working on, or that you know of, or
Not currently. In the state of Georgia, we know that there are some projects coming. We believe that the next installment of Jumanji is supposed to be coming to Georgia at some point. That hasn't officially been announced, but the word has been like the studios are looking to do another one. There are supposed to be some Netflix productions coming back. I don't know what quite yet. And they are supposed to be doing Creature from the Black Lagoon remake in Georgia,
really?
in the upcoming year. So, like I said, it's just a little bit dry right now. The studios, some of them don't really know how to properly, make money off of streaming services. Netflix has figured it out. They don't really have any problems. But like, Apple TV,
it's really all about the subscription.
there you go. It's about subscriptions and ad revenue.
Yeah.
Apple TV makes great products and a lot of good shows, but they also openly admitted that they spent $20 billion on a lot of their productions.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, like it's Apple, like, yeah, they have other ventures and channels of which they can make money, but they were struggling with their streaming service. It was the same thing a little while for Amazon. Amazon, I think, has gotten things under control, but productions now, especially coming off of the writer's strike from a year ago, they are just struggling a little bit about what they greenlight. Box office numbers are down. Sure, you're going to have movies like Wicked and Oppenheimer and Barbie that are going to make $1 billion.
Yeah.
But then you're going to get movies like Mufasa, which I've heard is decent, but at the same time, that's arguably a $200 to $250 million movie before you even get into marketing. And Disney only made $38 million off it domestically, I think, in its opening weekend. So
Wow.
even reliable tentpoles and some IPs that were reliable and seem like slam dunks, they're not. And so studios are questioning exactly what they want to greenlight and exactly how much they want to spend on these projects.
So what would be considered a slam dunk, you think?
Something with The Rock.
That's what
Not
Not,
so much
not
anymore.
even. Yeah, not even that. Really.
Yeah, Red One was kind of a financial disaster.
I like that. That's too bad.
The thing was that,
I just watched it too. I thought it was okay.
it didn't do well at the box office. And that's a movie that probably had between a $250 to $350 million budget. And you kind of look at it, and the VFX didn't look great because I watched it. And good holiday movie, it's great for families and everything. But like as soon as they put it on Amazon, people that had Amazon subscriptions all watched it because they were already paying for the subscription, didn't have to go to the box office or the movie theater to pay for it additionally. So it crushed it on the streaming services.
Mhm.
It just did bad with, actual theater distribution and the box office numbers.
That's what I watched.
Yeah. The Rock is not as big of a draw as he used to be.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's probably why he went back to WWE.
Did it?
Yeah,
He did last year.
Oh, he's still there.
Yeah, and he'll probably make another run this spring. But
Well,
currently,
he's chairman of the board. I mean, now of
I forget because UFC and WWE did partner, and he
Yeah.
is on the board for whatever the
WWE part. Yeah.
No,
The company, but he focuses more on WWE. But the reason why I even brought that up was really because they're moving their program Monday Night Raw
to Netflix.
to Netflix. So that's going to start January 6th,
Is that
I
because
believe.
everybody got rid of cable?
No, because you could stream it on YouTube, or I should say YouTube TV. You can get
Yeah,
it.
but that's a streaming service too. So like no one's watching.
Well, that's what I
cable.
mean.
Yeah.
Oh, I think cable is
Surprised it still exists.
shit in the bed,
Yeah.
to be honest with
Well,
you.
it's-
It's very expensive.
We went through this weird phase where we were cutting the cable and trying to save money just with streaming service subscriptions. But now you got to pay for Netflix, Amazon, Disney, Apple,
Because they all split up.
Yeah, and you're basically paying probably double what you were paying for cable.
Paramount they took all their stuff off of Netflix for their own streaming service. Same thing with Peacock.
We have a lot of streaming, but we were paying a couple $100, so it's still a little cheaper for us.
Even telephone, even
Yeah.
phones, you'll get. If you sign up with them, you'll get certain like Max.
Like 3 months
Someone
free
was
or
telling
something.
me
Yeah,
now-
no, I got Max. I just have Max because
Someone was
I have.
telling me now that you can't multi-stream on TVs anymore, like Netflix. They're making you re-log in, and if you want to have more than one TV hooked to your account, you have to pay for it.
I haven't seen that yet.
There-
I think I have 40
Family
devices that allow
There,
it.
you can choose how many devices. You can choose your
Yeah.
plan. I think one of the things they're cracking down on is you hear in Grandma and Grandpa in Preston
Mhm.
or in Norwich,
Yeah.
and then they're get it because they're looking at the IP address now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So
Well, it's like Disney came out, you could share with 6 people total, right?
I don't know how
I
many.
think it was 6. So
Well,
yeah.
I mean, when we first
I
started
don't know if
with,
that's still the case. I log on to it. and
we
watch
have it. I
we
mean,
got like
but,
6 icons up there, so we're still sharing it.
as far as YouTube TV is concerned, I mean, it started out, it was $59 a month when we got it, right? So then next in January, it's going up to 82.
Yeah.
It's gone up slowly,
Mm-hmm.
over the last 4 years that we have had it. So like I'm looking for, I don't watch a lot of TV. I like Netflix.
YouTube has the Sunday ticket package now, right?
Yep.
Do they?
Yeah, I bought it.
On YouTube?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Really? YouTube TV?
Yeah.
Not just, yeah, okay. All right.
YouTube TV.
I thought you meant just regular YouTube. I'm like,
Yep,
what?
YouTube TV. Yep.
What do you think about Amazon having football and Netflix having Game of the Week?
Okay, yeah,
Netflix getting it is
Amazing.
it is because I didn't really buy into this, but apparently this is actually a thing. But when people are just like at home, whether they're working from home or if they're just doing household chores or if they're just reading, the go-to streaming service to put on is Netflix.
Yep.
And so they will just put something on. They just want background noise. And so Netflix is now making TV shows that are trying to cater to these people. So if they're not going to watch it, but they just want the noise, they are starting to have writers write scripts for TV shows where the main character is narrating a little too much, like what they're doing, why they're doing it, almost like outwardly saying their inner thoughts. And for the longest time, as far as script writing goes and screenwriting, that was not allowed. It's all about, when you were presenting a visual story, it's all about showing, not telling. Now we're basically flipping things on its head, because if we're trying to create shows that are catering to these people that just want background noise, that aren't actually watching the show.
So podcasts.
Kind of, yeah. Also, like good background noise, but
Sure.
like now Netflix is trying to lead this charge to actually essentially dumb down their broadcasting or whatever their programming is, because now you have to just verbally tell like the viewer or whoever just has this on is like, this is the story.
Yeah.
You're not watching, but we'll tell it to you.
It's something because there are TV shows and then there are podcasts that are so popular that have literally millions and millions and millions of viewers.
Yeah.
Or listeners, like true crime stuff.
Mhm.
Yep.
Is just really, really popular right now.
Actually,
And it's just
there are some podcasts that had a big impact on the last election because there's so many millions of listeners that listen
Yeah.
to them. You know, so there you
well,
go.
I mean, you could say either way. I mean,
no,
there were pro-Trump and there were some anti-Trump.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, there
Still
was.
Yeah,
influence.
just-
That's what. Yeah.
Trump came right out and said that TikTok was
Being banned in January.
Yeah.
no, but he said he was like he has an account or whatever, and that he said it helped him out in the election.
Probably helped him with the younger demographics.
Yeah.
yeah.
It was amazing. It was a
Well, he
great
went
thing.
on a lot of those podcasts, whether they liked them or not.
Yeah,
And he had the exposure, and people got to see what he was running on.
I don't think TikTok's going to get banned.
No.
I think they'll file a motion or whatever, and then they'll have a stay of execution, so to speak. And
I'm not on it.
Huh?
I'm not on it.
You should be. You should.
Oh, gosh. Here we go again. We're
No.
gonna go down-
No. You'd be.
You would
No, just
find-
for the current events kind of thing. I mean,
like
You were
your
gonna say?
algorithm, like you would find your niche in the videos that
Yeah.
you and then the algorithm
Yeah.
would just naturally find videos that you would be interested in, and like everyone else in this country, you would have an issue putting your phone down.
I know you say no. It's not going to happen, but you don't know that. They even have videos on TikTok now
Yeah.
that the algorithm will pick up. You've been scrolling for a while. There's this lady that comes on and goes, "Hey, I know you've been scrolling a while, but don't you think maybe it's time to go to sleep?" literally.
Yeah.
Good.
It's almost like ASMR.
Yeah.
They should do what North Korea does.
Shut everything down.
at a certain time.
Yeah.
You're only allowed to watch between this time and that time.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that sucks.
And have some kind of a life after that?
Yeah. So people can
Life
actually do
outside of
human
that?
things.
Yeah. You do human
Yeah.
conversations face to face. Yeah. That's
That's kind of
human
kind of
interaction.
awful.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of awful.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, if
my
everybody
goodness.
had an emotional pickle. They'd be
That's
okay.
true.
Find your emotional pickle.
I don't know if you know, but your dad is really into this emotional pickle.
It's the first I'm hearing about it.
Yeah. He was on here one day stroking his emotional pickle, and I just like, wow.
That's Rachel's fault. Rachel's the one who started that stuff. Her and Paul started the pickle stuff.
Yeah. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
I've just been bringing it along a little bit.
Yeah.
That's all.
So anyway, like Netflix is like, do you foresee, or because I kind of see or kind of think this is the way it's going to go, is I think theaters are going to go away. I think eventually theaters, or they're going to rebrand and they're going to start doing like maybe live shows. They already do that now a little bit. Like they'll carry concerts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That are live and you can go in and you can watch it. To me, it's not a big. No, I'm not a fan of that.
So you didn't see the Taylor Swift Eras Tour movie?
I did actually.
did?
I did. Yeah, I did. But this was like, but that's a taped thing.
Sure.
They're talking about like, all right, so my dad's really religious, right? He's a very strict Catholic, and there's a band that was out called For King and Country, and they were doing a live show, but they were also simulcasting it like closed circuit TV.
Metallica did the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could
Really?
watch it, and
You had to go to a theater to watch it.
Lisbon had it, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
For UFC pay-per-views down in Atlanta, there's a movie theater across my street that you can just buy a movie. You can just get a ticket and go watch the main card at least in the theater, because otherwise you'd have to pay $85 to $90 to watch it
Pay-per-view.
at home on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Or I can just pay $25 and just go across the street, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
So similar, but also it's a live sporting event. But like as far as concerts go, I think that could be a thing because Metallica experimented with that a little bit.
Is that the
last
one with the
year.
comfy seats that we sat in the other time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If a movie theater in 2024 does not have comfy seats, there's a problem with it.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of different-
Lisbon's theater needs an upgrade. They really
Yes,
do.
they do.
Yeah. There could be a whole bunch of different types of shows where You could, get in there. The lights are kind of dim a little bit, only so you could access your phone. And who knows? Maybe you could text into the show, and they'll interact with you.
Mhm.
Like kind of like what we do here. 'Cause people aren't talking that much. Like just Rachel.
That
What I like about what some of the theaters do is they bring some of the old classic movies back. Like I've seen Psycho.
It's
in
a Wonderful
Lisbon.
Life. They did that.
Yeah, Wonderful Life, North by Northwest, and To Kill a Mockingbird. Those old films that
Yeah.
you only see on TV anymore. You don't get the theater or the big screen experience. So once in a while they'll bring those up, and usually most of them are sponsored by Turner Classic Movies. That kind
Well,
of
I
thing.
did. I went down to Lisbon to see It's a Wonderful Life a few years ago when they had it
Yeah.
on there. And I was asked, why do you want to do that? I want the big screen experience. I've never saw it on the big screen.
I do it with Jaws every 4th of July.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
a great movie. That's a great-
Yeah, that was there like last year, and the wife and I went and saw. We've seen Jaws. I don't know how many times on TV, probably a million times. But we wanted to get the big screen
Sure, yeah.
experience, right? So we went and saw it. And I hadn't seen the big screen since the 70s.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager.
It's funny because Jaws on the big screen, you'll get a couple of jump scares
Oh yeah.
where you don't on the TV. There's one there, all of a sudden a skull comes
Yeah.
out real quick. But on the big screen, it's like,
And you got the shark that jumps out of the water.
yeah.
Or the
yeah.
sheriff says, "I think we need a bigger
boat.
You
Yeah.
know what you're gonna do? A Mystic does. You have a
Yep.
waitress go around. And they bring you your food and your alcohol and stuff. And
Oh, yeah. They do that at Blueback Square. And
That's what this place does. That
Yeah.
it just got built by his place there not too long
you
ago.
don't
So
forget
Yeah.
during the movie.
Yeah. They can order.
Oh yeah,
Order it.
yeah, and you can have alcohol or whatever,
Yeah.
But you can do that in like I said, at Blueback Square as well.
Wow.
That's where we saw the Taylor Swift movie. So-
I do think, to go back to your original question, though, it's like I don't know. I think as long as certain directors are alive and kicking and still making movies, theaters will always have a place. But if we go from just really shrinking down the scale of movies, that like you don't necessarily need to be in a theater to see certain movies, then yes, like the box office and theaters are going to continue to be hurt. We also, if the studios and the industry in general really does care about the movie going experience and they want to save it, they have to avoid strikes going forward. Going to be tough. I get it, especially with AI emerging and that impacting writers, and then AI also impacting actors. That'll be a
Yeah.
point of contention.
oh yeah,
It already has
they're
been.
gonna make movies
Yeah.
with AI characters.
They are, yeah.
We're
We're doing
and
it with commercials now. It's not going to
Yeah.
take that long until things like you're getting full blown hour and a half to 2 hour narrative.
scary shit, isn't
Yeah.
it? So like Netflix and everything, I'm wondering. I keep going back to that because I wonder if they're going to go ahead and pony up and partner with different studios to do straight up like pay per view. Let's like who's the biggest star right now in Hollywood?
I think long term, it turns into Glenn Powell,
Okay.
who did Top Gun. He did the latest Twisters movie. I guess you could say like it might still be Tom Cruise. Like, we talk about labeling movies.
Yeah.
Do you remember? And I obviously missed this time, but like you would go see the next Stallone movie. You'd go see the next Schwarzenegger movie. You'd go see the next-
Right.
Nowadays, it's like, you don't go see a Chris Evans movie. You go to see the next Captain America movie.
Right.
You don't
Mhm.
see the next Robert Downey Jr. movie. You go to see the next Iron Man movie.
Right.
But now it just feels like Tom Cruise might be the only one left where you're like, we're going to go see the next Tom Cruise movie.
Right. Mission Impossible 46.
And he kind of is pushing for Glenn Powell to eventually take over the Mission Impossible franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And Glenn Powell seems like a likable guy.
I've never even heard of Glenn Powell, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he's fairly new. The wife and I saw the Twisters movie, and it does it's a little bit of an homage to the original that was made
So I guess
25 years ago.
The real question is that do you think Netflix because they're really pushing, the streaming industry,
Mhm.
for home entertainment? Do you think that they're going to take first run movies? I mean, the things that they would go ahead and just go to the theaters and offer pay per view for like $19.95.
It's actually
They
great.
did that. They did that with a couple.
Especially during COVID. I was actually, talking with a friend the other day, and I was hypothetically, I said, would you pay $15 to go see a movie on a date? You have to pay for 2 tickets, so that's $30, and then you have to pay for concessions. Let's say this whole ordeal, whatever, maybe nowadays with tickets and concessions, you have to pay $60 out of pocket, like to go to a theater and do all this and that.
Well, the last time I went, and there was like $18 for the movie.
Yeah.
Then it was concessions,
Mhm.
and I got popcorn, soda, Snickers, and Skittles. And the lady came over and said, "Mike, your loan's been approved." So I was able to go ahead and get that stuff. So I was happy about that. You don't have to do that at home. That's right.
Right.
So,
Right.
So
you can
would
make
you-
a really good case for it.
But would you pay like $50 to be able to have a 12-hour window to watch a movie and not go to the theater?
Yeah.
Because I would pay $50 because I know like I don't have to pay concessions. I can eat whatever I want in the comfort of my own home.
Yeah.
I have this 12, maybe even 24-hour window. Like this is my movie ticket. I can watch it at my leisure over the
Right.
course of the
And
next
you can watch it
24
as many times as you want within that
yeah.
period of
And
time.
then if you want to watch it again after that, you just re-up again. Now, I would-
Max had done that.
Yeah.
Max was doing that.
Mm.
Who owns Max? Is it still HBO?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
was that Viacom and CBS, I think.
I think so. Could be. I don't know. That I don't know. Kevin Cunningham says, "I left Hollywood so as not to be labeled."
Excellent. Perfect.
He's a politician, a local politician in town.
Yeah.
You know, and you know what? It's the same thing. It's acting, no matter what you do, Hollywood or you become a first
Oh, yeah.
selectman. Right, Wayne?
Yeah, absolutely.
You got anything for Dan?
No, I think I asked my biggest question is what you actually did. So that was.
Oh yeah, so I did for basically when I got in the industry. I think my first production assistant job was summer of 2017. Small little Netflix movie called Dumplin'. Jennifer Aniston was in it, and she was like the biggest star that was
Yeah.
attached to the project. Otherwise, it was about a teenage beauty pageant or something like that. Read the script, never saw it. I did a few other projects as an office PA and then set PA. I never worked full time on Ozark or Stranger Things. I did what they call like day player days. So it's like if they ever have like a large day with,
Yeah, because Stranger Things was filmed there too, right?
Yep.
Even though it was set in Indiana, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But you know, for larger days, like they'll bring in extra production assistants and they call them day players and things like that. You still get paid. You just don't get your name attached on like end credits and
Sure.
things like that. And then COVID hit, and that was around the time that I finished on The Tomorrow War, which went on Amazon. After that, basically
Oh, those damn drones!
basically during the downtime that I had from the COVID shutdown and everything, I was like, wow, this is like what it's like to have a personal life. This is what it's like to relax. Because when I was on set for Tomorrow War, like,
No money. I mean,
no income.
Dad.
Yeah, there's been some of that.
That's okay.
But the
It
days were
happens.
long, and so it was nice just to be able to kick my feet up for 5-6 months. And then my first gig back was like a Kia commercial, and it was 1 week, and we were shooting in Norcross, Georgia, basically just on a massive slab of concrete in August.
That's
Worst
gotta be
condi-
hot.
brutal conditions. I was basically drinking 12 bottles of water every day, never going to the bathroom just because I was like sweating it all out.
Yeah.
I was having to apply sunscreen every 45 minutes. Worst conditions that I ever had for a show. And after that, and that was only a 1 week shoot because we did like
Yeah.
some live stream on YouTube with some stunt drivers. Then we did an actual commercial. And then that was like my last one. Like I was dead. I was constantly dehydrated.
Yeah.
And so basically I was like, I just had all this like, free time and relaxation. Like I can transition to another department in this industry and still get back some time and still making money. So then I transitioned to accounting. It's not sexy. It's not entertaining. It's not interesting, but I get to like look at budgets, and ultimately I want to work my way up to be what they call, a production controller or a line producer, and you oversee the entire
Everything.
budget. You basically get final approval on, what gets paid for, what doesn't get paid for. So I do want to work my way up to that. Taking a little bit of a hit right now just because it's so slow right now. But, when work picks back up, I'll be in touch with him and let him know whatever the hell I'm working on.
Yeah.
So do you have to apply to work on the show, or do they choose you, or do they?
Awesome question, because I've spoken with like film students, have no idea how this works. It comes down to who you know. The first gig that I ever landed, the Dumplin' show for Netflix.
Yep.
I got wind of where their production offices were the day that they were setting up. I basically showed up in a suit and tie with my resume and donuts from Dunkin' Donuts. And I just said, hey, I'm new to the Atlanta area. I don't have any experience, but, let this sweeten the deal a little bit. Dropped off my resume, said, like, I'm just looking for my foot in the door to show you what I got. And I was actually the first person that they called because they appreciated like the
donuts.
the gesture. Yeah.
That's how I got on the show. I walked in with a bunch of donuts.
It's kind of, he's not lying.
All I asked
He's
was
not
like,
lying.
I was like, I just want, an opportunity to interview and like,
Yeah.
just like a chance to prove myself. And so, when you get your opportunity in this industry, like make the most of it, work hard, don't complain, just like shut up and get the job done. Don't make excuses, make results. So I basically made enough goodwill from that job and I parlayed it into my next job, which was I was a production assistant on an NBC series called Good Girls. I don't know how long that one lasted. And then from there, that got me onto the Watchmen pilot for HBO, which came out a few years ago. And then from there, I went from the Watchmen to Jumanji Next Level. And so like I was building contacts and like building my network with each show, but each show, like somebody was just recommending me for my next show. So I never really had to apply. It really just does come down to, making myself valuable, having my own network. Nowadays it's
like anything. It's like anything. Yeah.
So nowadays it's like, yeah, sure. The industry is there, but I've got like 20 people that I'm hitting up or that are contacting me and they're just checking in on my ability for the new year. So I haven't really had to apply or update my resume in the longest time. It really just comes down to people that know me, that know my work. And, so I don't even have to interview so much anymore, which is nice. It's just people asking me, are you available? And do you want to work on this? And I'll be like, yeah.
So the first movie that actually got his credit was Instant Family, I think, wasn't it?
No, that was briefly between Good Girls and Watchmen. The only reason I didn't mention Instant Family is because I only worked on it for like 6 weeks.
Yeah, but your name was on it.
My name was on it,
So-
but I was a set deck production assistant.
So proud parents are sitting in there after the movie's over and the people are waiting to clean the theater up and we're sitting there watching the credits go through. You see his name yet? See his name yet? See his name yet? And then we finally see it. There it is. Oh, snap. With the phone, take a picture of it. Hey, after,
That's got to be a good
Yeah,
feeling.
after-
Yeah.
And then even his girlfriend, we found out she was on the show. We did the same thing. Looking for her name on the next production. So, but yeah, it's
Well, Wayne,
No.
thank you for producing tonight's show.
no problem.
Thanks for bringing in Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
And it's
Actually, he got
Chris is
along with-
actually one of my favorite actors that I've
Is he?
worked with. Yeah, like when you asked earlier if there were any assholes, Chris would be at the bottom of the asshole. He's a genuinely good guy.
He's from Seattle too. Yeah, I found out he was a big Seattle Seahawk fan. So Dan was talking to him about that. I said,
that's right. Y'all, the Malins are all from
"Yeah,
Seattle,
yeah,
aren't you?
No, not him. No, he's a New England Patriots fan.
Oh, that's
through
right.
and through.
You went to Grizzled, right?
Correct. Yeah.
What year did you graduate?
Oh wait.
Oh, you were just a baby.
Oh,
Oh, wait.
Yeah, my daughter was 04, so there you go.
Huh?
Wow.
Hillary's
I
graduated.
was having
04.
kids before you were still in high
I'm
school.
saying now I'm really feeling old.
Yeah, look at
What
me.
year did you graduate?
96.
You? 12?
Yeah,
19?
1912.
I graduated back in the 1900s.
About 60 years later than Paul. No.
We had to carry our rock slates to type on and our
Yeah,
backpacks on the
yeah.
way
And
down.
we had to walk in the snow uphill both ways. Yeah, to school. Yeah.
All right. Dan, it was nice meeting you. Thanks
Very
for
nice
coming on
meeting you. Thanks for having
in,
me.
talking in, and Wayne, whatever. And you got to go to work tonight. Holy cow.
Yep.
Mandated. You love mandates, don't you?
Love it.
Pays the bills, right? Overtime.
Man. Probably losing half the money in taxes. So I'm not.
Yeah. Oh, you mean when you start getting all those overtime hours? Yeah, I know. It's like
I used to
40%.
get mad at me in Illinois. Why aren't you working overtime?
Bullshit.
Because I work 16 hours overtime. I lose half of it in taxes.
Mhm.
So what's the point?
Exactly.
They get
Yeah.
that next bracket and they suck you dry.
That's right. I've been there
Hmm
several
Like a
times.
cheap hooker.
Yeah.
See you Monday, everyone. Have a good week.